And I think about it, monogamy is also one of the systems that is helping with controlling population, controlling, the financial state of how things are run, right? And monogamy being a marriage type in itself is a business because that monogamous marriage is a contract. But if you're going to divorce him as a woman, only to go and become a second wife, we need to also question that. Only for you to become a side chick and say, but it's my terms. There's something wrong with that mentality.
As far as the North Pole is from the South, we are bridging the knowledge gap from centuries past. We inspire you to find your true North. From Timbuktu to Alexandria, from the city of Johannesburg to New York, from the Zulus to the Dogon people, we are disrupting the knowledge economy. We are SMAX Network.
A point affecting many relationships unconsciously is that healers attract patients. Nurturers attract kids even though they are in a human body. Rescuers attract victims. An empath attracts narcissists. And as well as that, you find that the giver attracts the taker. Now, ladies and gentlemen, understanding who you are will help you and give you a clear perspective of the kind of relationships that you find yourself in and the lovers that you keep attracting. When you understand yourself, you are better placed to build solid and meaningful relationships. It's such a great honor and a great privilege for welcoming one of the guests that we've been tracking for some time here on SMAX Network. Drawing from her personal journey from transitioning from monogamy to polygamy. Today, she's a teacher and a counselor, a life coach focusing on guiding individuals through personal and professional growth. Kotatso Hlophe, popularly known as Gogo weSthembu. Thokoza Gogo.
Thokozani.
Thank you for coming to the show. How have you been?
No, thank you so much for inviting me. I've been well, thank you. And how have you been?
I'm super blessed.
Wow, that's
and I'm
good.
so excited to have this conversation with you.
Let's hear. I know polygamy is a conversation that ruffles a lot of feathers.
Yeah.
So I'm also excited.
Yeah.
It's always exciting to speak about this conversation. I think it is needed. The more often people hear it, maybe that's when they can accept that it is not going anywhere.
No, true. I saw many of your clips on social media, and the last one, my friend sent it to me, and then I sent it to our producer, and we said, please get her on the show. So you have been, we've been looking for you.
Yeah. And I also want to say thank you to Grandmaster Tautawa. I know he also mentioned me last episode. So
in fact, he's the first one to mention you here.
Yes,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Let's get to polygamy.
Uh-huh.
And you say we are ruffling a lot of feathers, a lot of people in our society. Do you feel more and more room is being opened now to talk about it? We can't say it's a new phenomenon.
No.
It has been happening, but now more and more platform space is being given to talk about polygamy.
Yes, thanks to Babu Moseleku, the Gumbis, then right, and now Babu Felix Hlophe, or let's also say thanks to television also trying to have that conversation, right? But it's a conversation for another day, but I feel like sometimes TV shows polygamy in a negative manner, right? Yeah. The drama is really taking away the authenticity of the marriage institution of polygamy altogether. But yes, the more we see it on television, the more we familiarize with it and the more we start accepting it little by little. Yeah. And even if maybe we won't accept it completely, it opens up dialogue. Mm-hmm. That's important.
Very often when you mention the word polygamy, a lot of women will say polyandry. What are your thoughts?
Where's polyandry coming from?
I don't know.
I mean, I think even on social media, I'm like, who taught you polyandry? As an African person, when you speak about polyandry, we bonepi because masinga khuluma with polygamy will say it's an African family structure. It's nothing new from an African point of view. It's nothing new even from a European point of view. They just changed it because their priority was more on commercializing certain things, right?
Yeah.
From a religious point of view, it's there. So if we are saying we are a people, regardless of race, and we led by, let's say, religion, which religion promotes polyandry? This polyandry is just a tool to create chaos in the society. So I don't entertain that.
So you're saying polygamy, it's an African family structure. It has always been there. Let's look at, and maybe, let's go that direction. We've got a lot of families failing today. In fact, I'm worried personally that the African family system is collapsing. And could we say it's probably because monogamy is not working? Monogamy has failed and we are refusing to accept that, or we're imposing it on people. As opposed to some people will say, if we go the polygamy way, in fact, it's going to solve a lot of the societal problems. Most of the families will be solid and will be stable.
Absolutely. Monogamy is a business, simply put. And it has been failing. We've just accepted it to be the norm. It creates chaos from a natural point of view. Biologically speaking, men are polygamous by nature. Now, me saying men are polygamous by nature, I don't mean that every polygamous man is a real polygamist. I'm not saying that.
Okay.
Right. But I'm saying that we have been accepting that it is okay for us to get married. And when we realize that it is not working because there's cheating, which means that the way in which that relationship operates isn't really, successful. And then we will then divorce and start again. We'll keep on. We are under some sort of
vicious cycle.
Yeah, it's a ridiculous vicious cycle that we have accepted. But with polygyny, it's always been that one man can have different spouses. I get a polygamy, obviously, now we will obviously say it's polygamy, but polygamy is wrong. Polygamy is a person having multiple spouses. But for the sake of jargon in South Africa, we say polygamy because it's relatable. But essentially, it's polygyny, meaning one man has multiple spouses, not anything else, whether polyandry, polyamory, no. So, yes, monogamy is failing. And it's failing because the system is collapsing. It is not, what's the right word I'm looking for? It's not sustainable.
Yeah.
It's not sustainable.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are you saying men are polygamous in nature?
Yes, men are biologically proven, yes, polygamous by nature. Absolutely, yes. And then monogamy is put in there as a bar. You know what? Why be like everyone and be polygamous when you can be disciplined and be the one who then defies nature? Defy your nature. And I think about it, monogamy is also one of the systems that is helping with controlling population, controlling, the financial state of how things are run, right? And monogamy being a marriage type in itself is a business because that monogamous marriage is a contract, simply. The contract of how we are going to handle our estate in the event of death or in the event of divorce. Two things, right? That's it. If you die without a will, then the state will then, take your money. So we are actually the state's projects. Should you not follow, legal proceedings or legal way of how you should run your estate, then that's going to catch up with you when you die or when you divorce. So this marriage institution gives us a contract of two things. You will divorce or you will die. And then someone will get something. Where is the spiritual part of it? Where is the social part of it? We're not going to ask that question. Are we saying solely that we are going, as human beings, we are comfortable with someone making a decision for us to get married so that we can circulate money between ourselves? Is that it?
What do you say to people who argue that when you say men are polygamous by nature, you are giving men a free license to have any woman that they want or to have sex with as many women as they want, because that's how some people will argue.
But they don't need permission from me. Biologically, men are wired to be polygamous by nature. Look at them. You think I don't even think I need to give a lecture of biology of how men are how men operate. Right? A man can impregnate, I don't know, 25 women in 1 month, but a woman cannot get pregnant 25 times in a month. Biologically speaking, that's how it's designed.
What do you say to somebody who says, unlike animals that can go free will, they do not have, the freedom of higher thinking. As human beings, we need to restrain our nature, and monogamy is one of the ways in which we can have stability, we can have some sort of discipline.
So we're calling discipline being captured like animals. Can't we see that people like capturing people? There's someone out there who's more educated, and the government, the system, who needs to capture people. Now we need to be captured like animals, because animals are roaming around, but then there's obviously, restrained defenses. We need to tell animals, no, we'll take this one. So we are saying, in order for us to show that we are disciplined, we need to be treated like animals. Be restrained. What is that question? I don't understand it.
What do you say to someone who says to you, even polygamy does not stop cheating?
Says who? Says someone who does not accept polygamy as a marriage type altogether. You always want the negative part of polygamy.
Because in polygamy,
yes,
you've got wives who would always complain of the men can have 3, 4, but still that would not be enough. There'll always be a girlfriend.
Mara polygamy says a husband has multiple spouses. It didn't say the men will have 2 wives only or 3 wives. On a number, unless otherwise it is from a religious point of view, maybe from a Muslim point of view, where it says a man can only have up to 4 wives. Right? Now, like African people, I think structure a man who can have up to only 5 wives. It's a man will keep going out there to find a wife, the succession of the legacy. So if Kgoroeadira is now more, business-minded, and he's like, okay, administrator. Administrator. After that, administrator, nurse, and so forth and so on. But that is also going to be dependent on how much he can afford emotionally and financially.
In a practical sense, Sisko, how does it work? Like, and you've just ended with that point to say, can we afford to do that without necessarily neglecting? You bring in this woman, your first wife, to come and say, I want to live with you. The greatest fear with many women as I talk to them is this man now shifting their attention and not be able to build as initially intended with the first one or the second one, because there's no way it ends.
Okay, I hear that. But initially how it starts, it's different. There's a polygamy that is a spiritual polygamy, right? Mm-hmm. It's a polygamy that is circumstantial, right? So different circumstances, like, okay, I want to take a second wife because we are unable to bear children, for example. As a man, the responsibility of expanding a home or making sure that the home is functional from a lineage point of view, that responsibility lies with the man himself. So when he then takes a decision to say, excuse me, I would like to go and take a second wife, because we are unable to have children, then the wife will then say, no, what about surrogacy? Why can't we adopt? But a man who's coming from a traditional point of view wouldn't see surrogacy as an option. But men are still even comfortable to say, we can try IVF, right? So after all has failed, then can we do it the traditional route way? Okay?
All right. Suppose, and that one I get, and women still refuse. Some women still refuse. Suppose you've got your wife and their kids, their children in the home, but he still wants to go. And one question that women ask, in fact, like, what do you need that I do not have?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I'm sure you are familiar with this.
Yes, hang on. Let's unpack it systematically. First, how does it usually go? Right? He would see the need. The man will see the need to want to do it, whether it's going to be circumstantial, being horeki, biological, or even I just love another woman.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
But I always then say you need to clarify the reason and vision, because as much as you love the other woman, polygamy in a structure. I get polygamy in a hierarchy. Polygamy is about roles and responsibilities as well. So yes, you fell in love with this woman. Your wife will ask you, okay, what is here to do? What is she here to do? And you need to be realistic about it. You can't just say, no, okay, Marata. So, Marata, what's next? Okay, Uto it's high. And then how are you going to share your time between these two women? So, as much as you are polygamous by nature, you need to be a responsible polygamist as well. Know why ngifuna expand umuzi wasekhaya, and be able to have this woman understand my reasons for doing it. It isn't just to impose it on her. Okay, so yes, Mosadi HaaK, no, I just love her. I just love her, and I feel like we can build together. Maybe she's also good at business, or she's good. A man already made a decision. Why ke morata, and what is it that she can do? What is the addition she will bring into my family? He just needs to communicate that to his wife, right? Then obviously as a wife, we are living in a society that says if you ever stay with a man who loves another woman, it means you love yourself less. It means you don't know your value. Then she's panicking from that point, and then essentially or naturally she starts competing with the other woman. If I'm so good enough, why is she here?
Exactly.
What is it that I'm missing? But then once we look at it from what is the vision and reason for you, SMAX, and as a woman, I will understand it because you'll explain it to me, and I'll understand whether utile para weavy or gadi dress, komu sweu, komu dark, it wouldn't matter because I would understand why ubaba afunu ukuthi amfake like hi.
Okay, I get that, and that's beautiful.
Okay.
Ne? If we say men are polygamous in nature, in biology, what's wrong when a man says, but I want this woman because I really love her, I connect with her? Is that reason not good enough? Because by nature, men are polygamous.
It's good enough. It's good enough, and he doesn't have to lie. The reason why you see a lot of people saying, you know what, he's just hiding behind spirituality is because we are saying he needs to have a good enough reason other than biologically speaking. Yeah. But he doesn't need to come up with another reason. The issue why men will have to over-reason and overcompensate and end up looking like they're lying is because women are operating from a monogamous point of view and have accepted monogamy. Okay, the one and only mentality. If a man loves you, he must choose you among millions of women. Right? Okay. So that is why he will have to reason, and that is why she can't accept that she's not the only one loved. She's not the only special one. It's good enough.
I like the point you made. Men are polygamous, but not every man is a polygamist. Ne? What does it take for a man to say, I want to do polygamy? And from a man's perspective, and you are right, I agree with you. We are polygamous by nature. Either you are promiscuous or you decide to embrace this, but we live in a society that leaves no room or little room for that particular conversation. What does it take for the man to say, I want to pursue polygamy and just being not just polygyny?
Okay, polygyny, you mean?
Yeah, for a man to say, I believe in the idea of that men are polygamous. But now, how you do build that structure? What are some of the requirements? I was speaking to the Grandmaster Tao, and he made me see something. Because most of the time, these polygamous families that are flighted on TV, like for instance, with the greatest respect, Mosiapoa, we want him to come to the show. Yeah. But his polygamous structure is a problem because he's the one that puts, you need to be rich in order to be in a polygamous family. When you are not rich, you can't do it, which is it's a limited point of view. So in any man who says, I want to start polygamy, where should he start? What is it that he needs?
Okay. So I always say a man doesn't really need a reason, to take a second wife good enough that the first wife will accept. When he says, I love her, but then I wanted to come emzini wakababa and help expand more children or whatever. That's a secondary reason, right? But the only man who's qualified to take polygyny or second wife, third wife is a man that is successful in the first marriage.
Beautiful.
Right? And that success obviously needs to be unpacked. Could it be that financially he's able to afford this woman? Pella affordability is also relative.
True.
Okay. Me driving a Jaguar could mean good to we afford. Okay. Yeah. Someone else driving a Polo from nothing could say then we afford. So it's relative, right? It's basic needs covered and living comfortably. But as human beings, as women, we would never be enough because we're competitive by nature. We have been taught to want to be like children. So when you see that your father or your mother is doing for another child, who that element of jealousy, and the society continues to, baby us without us realizing. And so for that reason, when they start bringing in feminism or, independence, we then see, no, actually I can make my own money. Then I don't need a man. Okay.
Yeah.
But a man who then is qualifying to take polygamy is a man who's holistically successful in the first marriage. Him expanding his home, he doesn't need a secondary reason. So then that means we need to check what is the financial part of it. Has he covered that? Yes. Emotionally, is he available? Can he be able to do time sharing fairly between these women? Okay. His work, does it allow? Because sometimes you find a man taking polygamy, sebenza Cape Town, nomfazi in Durban, or nomfazi in PE.
Yeah.
Then we're going to ask, okay, you're going to be there financially for them because what transfer, you work for them, great. And then you're going to miss their ovulation periods. When are you going to have children, right? And when you have children, you're going to miss the most important events with them and stages and everything. So when you end up just being a financial part to these people. So the moment you then say to second wife, no, I want to, first wife, I want to take polygamy. What is this person going to stay with you? Then it's going to be no. So you're going to stay with this person and I don't stay with you. Or then he says, no, she's not going to stay with me. She's in PE. Again, it doesn't make sense. So why are you taking a second wife when as a first wife, I hardly see you? So that's what we need to check. Or can you satisfy all these other factors for you to take a second wife or a third wife now?
Many women would say, and I've had that question a lot in many shows, to say, is it possible to love two people or three people at the same time? That's a question that many women ask.
At the same time, yes. But then the follow-up question is usually equally. Yeah. No, you'll never love people equally. No, you'll never ever love people equally. You love people according to the way they treat you and the way they receive you. That's a fact of life.
But then women's insecurities not justifiable because they fear that things may change. Remember, we've had a good relationship. You bring in somebody else and they're afraid that the powers may shift when this one comes in.
It's totally justifiable and understandable. And that's usually because men lie. They're not honest.
Because they are not allowed to be honest.
By who?
By the society.
In what sense?
If I have a partner or a wife to introduce, most of their relationship starts from the monogamous social acceptable standards. But when you start to bring and say, there's somebody that I want us to bring here, it's a difficult conversation that this one you realize she's not ready for that conversation. And some men will lie.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that you need to take away the right to choose for that woman, whether she wants to be in polygamy or not. You can't tell me, no, I couldn't be honest with her because I knew she would leave. So you then took an opportunity for her to decide whether she stays on her own accord or not. Right? So you couldn't be brave enough to say, I'm going to build my home this way. So are you comfortable with me because I want to have polygamy? Are you going to take that decision to live with me or not? We need to be honest with that.
I agree with you. But I think
I'm going somewhere.
Right.
I'm going somewhere.
Yeah.
With that being said, I acknowledge the fact that colonialism has played the biggest role in shaping women's perception about marriage and even about polygamy. Okay, even from a cultural point of view or, from a religious point of view and so on. But I want to say all this under colonialism, right? And so obviously as a man, you look and you say, most women want to be the only woman in a marriage because monogamy is, is advertised. Monogamy is the only accepted type of marriage. So that doesn't mean that as a man you can't make the decision to say, but I'm going to be honest anyway. The reason why polygamy seems to be failing, right, not succeeding equally as monogamy is because the foundation is based on lies. Okay, when you know as a man that you want polygamy, say it. Of course, it will be different for someone else who said, I didn't want polygamy, but as I grew up, I found out, Uguchi, I come from that lineage, and I found out that spiritually, I had to go and marry a second wife. We are African people. We are spiritual beings. It's not even negotiable, right? You might take a second wife because SMAX, and now you married so then it becomes very complex, right? So that is understandable. But if you can be honest, and I think if we want to change our societies and try meet colonialism halfway, if not all throughout, we need to do opposite of what colonialism is teaching us. We need to decolonize everything. That means every man, by nature, you should just say, you know what? Naturally speaking, I'm going to take a second wife. Like, just say, you would say, I'm marrying you now, but you must know that I'm going to take a second wife, even if you are not going to take that second wife.
Studies are showing that polygamy seems to thrive within the spiritual environment, cultural environment. It means a camouflage. That spirituality, the ideology, the doctrine, the belief within that spiritual movement or a cultural movement. In an open society, the society is still rejecting it. And I'll make an example. And here's my little problem with it, that most of the men that I hear wanting to take polygamy, to go the polygamous way, they say it's a spiritual reasons. And I'm not denying that. But we are saying to women, if it's not for spiritual reasons, then it shouldn't be taken. If it's not for cultural reasons, because you say, no, but where do you take this polygamy from? Your grandfather never married. You understand what I'm...
Yeah.
We need to break the confines and the boundaries of the opinion that it can only exist because you are a Shona, you are you are in. In a society, we must break those boundaries to say it is normal for us to have polygamy.
Yeah, that's the thing, you see. It's identity issues. We as African people are struggling identity issues because we want to identify under European systems. Isn't it?
I was listening to your story. You needed guarantee to say, if a healer says this, I really want to make sure this man is not playing games with me. It comes from the ancestors. So a man who purely wants to have polygamy, build that family, and he has no spiritual reasons, he has no cultural reference, but he purely wants to do that. I think we need to open the room for that.
Yes, but my story started from a spiritual conversation.
Yes.
Mine was because
that's what I'm saying,
So-
Cisco Tats, to say a woman who, not like you, for you, it was not easy, I know, but there's a reference of men taking the second wife because the ancestors have spoken.
Yes.
But there's this man and woman. This woman is not coming from any spiritual base.
Okay.
This man purely just saying, I want a second wife. It becomes difficult because it's like now he's just making it up, but he's following his nature.
Yes, but it seems that as women, we can accept polygamy when we can see that we can't argue with that reason.
Yes, that's
what
my
I'm
point.
saying.
Yeah,
If
that's
we
my
can't-
point.
If we can accept that polygamy is natural for a man, you can't argue with that reason. So now we are moving from biology,
Yeah.
from biology to spirituality, to being it circumstantial. We are trying to prove that polygamy can be acceptable as well, because monogamy has been pushed down our throat as it's normal. So what I'm saying is, if right now going forward, men can just be honest and say, don't lie, don't. And the problem with that is how you even starting the relationship. You know very well, like, if I tell her that I'm going to take a second wife, she's going to leave. So you're capturing women, in so to speak, you're capturing women and you are putting them into polygamy against their own will. So be honest. Literally, that responsibility of how polygamous relationships can be built lies on you as a man. I need to see the responsibility of starting umusgaba bakho is on you.
Yours, yeah.
You're the one who decide. But if you come to me and say, listen, I love you, and it's going to be you one and only for the rest of our lives, I take your word for it. And then the next thing you want to change when I'm 5 months into the relationship or 5 years into the relationship and say, I want polygamy. And I'm like, no, that's not what you promised me. And then you want to pull up the handbrake and say, no, that doesn't work. Why couldn't you be honest? You coerced me into it then.
No, 100%. If you had an opportunity to speak to women, which I know you do in your work, to speak to women who are monogamous and talk to them, what is it that you'd like women to know
About
polygamy and the polygamous nature of men?
Can I first start with the men? Can the men be honest, please?
Yes.
Can men be honest? We cannot always want to justify from monogamy to polygamy because we are essentially justifying from promiscuity to polygamy, right? And that's why we are having all these issues. Okay, so can men just please take leadership and be honest, okay?
Fair.
And from the women point of view, then I would say, ladies, you are aware that all the statistics that we have about divorce is actually reporting monogamy as a failure, right? And some of you as wives, you accept that a man can go cheat as long as he doesn't take this woman as a second wife. On another grade, that thing. I sharp. Shouldn't you be realistic? You can't say you can accept that he can cheat with another woman and say, back then. And then, as if it's acceptable, it's not acceptable. You should ask yourself, why should this woman play a role of a wife but cannot be recognized as a wife? You are being pulled like carry strings. It's a monogamy, or you must be the one and only, even when you can see that your man is polygamous. So by not accepting the truth for what you see it for, means you are hypnotized somewhere more. How sharp. So take the truth for what it is. Be realistic. That man, you're going to marry a divorcee, someone who failed from his own marriage. So Onyala reject. Right? You could never ever, unless otherwise you and that person, you were each other's first. Then you can say that this story doesn't apply to me. But if you're going to divorce him as a woman, only to go and become a second wife, we need to also question that. Only for you to become a side chick and say, but it's my terms. There's something wrong with that mentality.
What are your thoughts on a side chick
My thoughts
concept?
Side chick concept. So, I believe that is just a term that we use to make one so the wife is the most important one because she has the title, and the side chick term is to just undermine the other woman because you don't have the ring on it, and you're not going to be accepted, right? Hence we will term them the side chick. But essentially, this woman is good enough to be with your man because these side chicks have been there for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, and you know about it. So we are running for the ring and the title, and the title, you're the wife. But this woman, and you know it. But if when as Musadi, you're like, yeah, but as long as she doesn't get the ring and she doesn't get the title, I'll sharp.
I actually read a study that showed that most of the marriages, the author was saying and backing it up to say most of the marriages stand today because there was the other woman.
Mm-hmm.
So the role of the other woman in the marriage is significant according to that author.
And the mere correct, I agree. And the mere fact that women also know that the other woman is there means that subconsciously they do accept, or I won't be everything for this man. I can't carry this man alone. I mean, let's be explicit. As women, we don't want to have sex Monday to Friday. It feels like savage, right? But a man would want to have biologically Monday to Friday, right? But that, right? So that's why we would accept like a side chick, and then that's why we use these wrong terms. So, what? No, you're lying. That person came sister wife or the responsibilities. But again, colonialization says you need to be the one and the only. But you can accept that your men can still have children with someone else. What's some divorce? If cheating is a deal breaker, why don't they divorce their husbands when they have children with the other women? Why, when they cheat, they are willing to say, I'll forgive you because the devil was there? Something
Gogo, weSthembu. I wish we could talk more on this. Please come back to the show. Let's explore other topics or concept within the polygamous, and also how to prepare. You did a beautiful video on how to prepare a woman for polygamy, but also as a man, these men, how do we now start to develop these men and prepare them for polygamy? Because also in my view, I feel if we're to explore the concept of polygamy, men would be more, it gives a great responsibility to a man. We'll have more responsible men, more men you'll be forced to have a vision.
Correct.
To paint, but also our families will grow. You not just have one, you've got 2, 3 brains. We can build.
And we can try and reverse, the disadvantages financially that colonization has brought into our communities. And that's why I am unapologetic with building polygamous communities. I have events throughout the year. We begin 1st of March next year, for example, 2026, 1st of March. We have harmonic ties. This is where a man will bring both his women, whether it's Mamkulu and the incoming, or he comes in and says, I want a second wife. So it's more like a lover soul session. And then from there, we have a men's conference where all the men come together and say, what are we doing wrong? What can we do better? Can we teach the next boy child how to do this right? After that, we've got Build Her Confidence. It's a women's event. And I also have programs where men can come through, book a session, and we speak men to women and guide you on how to properly introduce polygamy, what to avoid, and how to build polygamous harmony. So that's
beautiful.
Important.
In fact, if you agree, I know we'll take the conversation with the producer. Please look at your schedule next week, Friday. Let's do part 2. So that when we release these shows, we do part 1 and part 2. But today it was more like an introduction of polygamy, question answer type of. But next week now we can do a beautiful part where people can follow the logic of polygamy.
Absolutely. Why not?
Ladies and gentlemen, Gogo weSthembu. If you enjoyed the conversation, make sure that you subscribe on YouTube at SMAX Network. I am SMAX. Kamako.